During a fire in the city, everyone ran from the place, leaving only one bouncer at a bar full of the most dangerous criminals. A hooded man walked past him, saying he just wanted to grab a beer. The bouncer asks if he knows that the bar is for criminals only, but the guy goes up the stairs and finds a warrior drinking in the hallway. This drunk looks at him and smiles, thinking it's going to be an easy victim, because he's one of the deadliest warriors alive. On the first attack, the intruder dodges easily, but when the guy draws his sword and attacks, the warrior can barely defend himself. The criminal was impressed and started fighting for real, but in the blink of an eye, the hooded man made an attack so fast that he took the criminal's head clean off with no time to react. Then he kept moving, reaching the most dangerous floor, the boss's floor, along with his top killers. He walked in like the biggest swinging dick in the room, saying he'd take everyone out. The boss burst out laughing, calling him a joker. But when the guy made a head fly, everyone was in shock, asking who this guy even was. The man with his blood-soaked sword sat down on the leader's throne. Every criminal in the room wanted to rip his head off, but the leader said he'd handle it himself. The next day, the kingdom's nobles were planning to gather the best soldiers to hunt down this leader, when suddenly a child walks in carrying a box. When they open the box, they see the leader's head delivered to them on a silver platter. Everyone was wondering who did this, how someone managed to walk into the most dangerous guild's base and take his head. Whoever did this is no ordinary person. Years ago, he fought in a war, wiping out an entire army. He was always the most brutal knight that ever existed. This is Aaron, and he was born into this chaos. To survive and not starve, he had to become a mercenary. In the middle of these battles, a red-haired woman came into his life. She was the only one who brought peace to his heart. When all of that was over, she asked them to go east together, where it rained a lot. Now she's no longer with him, and every time it rains hard, Aaron thinks of her. Today he's the captain of Unit 4 of the Kasserdik Fortress Guard, a city on the border. He works reporting to a commander fat and short-tempered named Manuel. Hans, a blonde mage Aaron met back in the academy and treated like a brother, stole something from the local lord's daughter and vanished. Manuel sends Aaron to hunt him down alive or dead. If the captain failed, his head would be taken. Aaron tracks Hans to District 7 inside an alley, finds him hooded and badly wounded. When he tries to arrest his friend, Hans fights back with magic, summoning water magic. Aaron charges straight at him and cuts Hans's throat before he can finish the spell. The cut is shallow on purpose. Aaron looks at his friend's chest, searching for the scar that would prove a pact with a demon, and finds nothing. Aaron doesn't understand what Hans was doing, but he couldn't bring himself to kill his friend, and opens a secret passage, tosses a healing potion at his friend's arm, and tells him to disappear. Hans vanishes, and the mission officially fails. The next day, the whole group ends up at a bar, drowning their sorrows over the failed mission. But Aaron isn't with them. He was called to a meeting with William. The head of the guard walks over slowly and starts asking about Hans. He says he knows Aaron patrolled the last district alone, and asks if he found anything. When Aaron says no, William brings in Manuel. Any accomplice dies by his hands. Aaron walks out of there with the fakest smile in Kasserdik's history. That afternoon, on his way home, Aaron walks past a tavern and hears a woman screaming. Inside the bar, a group of mercenaries had cornered Henna, the innkeeper. One of them was touching what he shouldn't. That's when Aaron walked in, and the woman ran behind him like a wall. Aaron grabbed the girl and turned his back. The mercenaries got mad that they were being ignored, and decided to push their luck, but our MC grabs the guy by the face and tells them they're a bunch of losers. Then he threw the guy into the wall and said he was going to teach all of them a lesson. Real quick, the guys calmed down and went back to drinking. Dylan refused to apologize to the woman, so the MC decided to give him some special treatment in a totally peaceful way. After hearing everything, he apologized. That night, Aaron fell asleep and had a dream that wasn't quite a dream. In the dream, a knight told him to run without looking back, saying he needed to live. Aaron jolted awake, sword in hand and heart pounding. Day broke. Aaron was training swordsmanship alone when an elegant man appeared, complimenting his technique. It was Ben, a knight from the Fenner family, an elite imperial order trained to kill demons. Before the conversation could go any further, Vivian, the only daughter of Kassard's lord, came running in complaining, but when she saw Aaron, she apologized for interrupting his training and took Ben away. Ben left still confused, certain that Aaron was a knight in disguise. The punishment for beating up the mercenaries hired by the lord came shortly after, with Manuel screaming so loud he almost broke the fourth wall. Aaron was sent to Nova, the castle administrator, a serious woman with zero patience for him. Trying to follow Kale's advice, smile and give compliments to win a woman over, the captain flashed a terrifying smile and started throwing out compliments that made absolutely no sense. Nova was disturbed, told him to stop, and handed down the punishment. Aaron would take the mercenaries' place on an escort mission and would get paid their cut. When he arrived at the mission, Aaron found it strange that there were so many mercenaries for a simple escort. Everyone looked ready for a real battle. When he turned around to ask something, he found the woman groper standing right in front of him. Dylan was thrilled to see Aaron and swore eternal loyalty to his big bro. Now they're in the village of Nocteville, on the outskirts of Kasserdik. The mercenaries are confused because the village is completely empty, no civilians anywhere. One of them even wonders if this is the work of a demon. Dylan sees Aaron walking off and starts following him. Deeper in the village, a mercenary asks where the guard is going and where all the people who lived there went. In a flashback, a kid gets a book the MC gave him. He's super happy and tells the Master Knight to visit him whenever he's in the village. Walking around, Dylan steps in a red liquid and feels disgusted. Aaron tells the weasel not to look ahead, but Dylan ignores him and lifts his head. He sees something horrifying, a bunch of citizens crucified. It makes the mercenary want to throw up. Suddenly a familiar voice calls out to Captain of the Guard Aaron. Vivian shows herself and asks why he's there, so the guard asks her the same thing back. Later the mercenaries are eating soup, happy with the food. Dylan asks how those guys can act fine after seeing so many bodies, and who the monster was that did something like that. An old man shows up and says it was a sacrifice used in a ritual, where humans are offered to demons. Then he offers them a swig of wine, but Aaron refuses because alcohol messes with his senses. Dylan on the other hand accepts right away. John introduces himself as the convoy commander, and asks if the two of them are mercenaries. Aaron introduces himself back and says he's not a mercenary, so John just tells them to eat well and rest, because the trip will be long. Suddenly the three of them see Vivian arrive, and her beauty impresses Dylan all over again. John says he's surprised. He didn't expect they'd be escorting the carriage of the Lady of Kasserdik. The MC remembers when he found Vivian in the middle of the village, and asked why she was there. Vivian says she was out for a walk because she felt suffocated, and her father suggested she go to the Bolt Fortress. Aaron asks if she means the Lord, but then Ben shows up and cuts the conversation off. Trying to put the MC in his place, the knight says knowing too much brings responsibility, and Aaron should only know what's necessary for his position. Back in the present, the guard still wants to know why the Lord sent Vivian to Bolt. John says a demon could show up and Aaron would still be calm. Our hero says they've got a knight with them, and that elite force of the Empire is trained to kill demons. Plus, with that sword even going through dangerous situations, he's unfortunately managed to survive up to now. Hearing that, the convoy commander just wishes Aaron good luck. Later, the guard captain finds the book he gave to the kid from the village. He remembers how happy the boy was with the gift. He realizes it's been a long time since he was last there, and by now Horn should be pretty grown up. Suddenly something jumps out to attack the MC, but he counters right away, crushing part of the monster's head. Even so, the creature gets back up, but it's quickly hit with a slash across the chest. After finishing off the creature, our hero wonders if that thing was a zombie and where it even came from. Dylan, on the other hand, freaks out when he sees one of the monsters starting to swing its sword. Then the zombie's head gets separated from its body, and that leaves the redhead shocked. He gets super happy when he sees his big brother Aaron there, and he grabs onto his legs. Aaron asks where the others are, but the weasel just says they're screwed, because all the mercenaries and soldiers were asleep, and they won't wake up. It's like they were put under a spell. Our hero starts thinking, since neither he nor Dylan got affected by the magic. But Aaron realizes someone drugged the stew with sleeping pills, and the goal was to capture someone alive. That person was probably Vivian, and suddenly Dylan tells him to look at something. A horde of zombies appears right in front of them. The creatures start screaming, and seeing that Aaron tells the weasel to get back, while thinking he'd warm up with these zombies before the real action starts. With his sword skills, our hero starts slicing through a bunch of zombies, swinging his sword left and right. He takes out tons of enemies. Then he jumps forward, heading in to finish those brainless things for good. Some time passes and rain falls on Aaron as he stands surrounded by zombie bodies. Hearing something, the MC realizes he left one of the monsters alive. He turns around, but what he sees is really sad. Horn, the boy he helped, was now a zombie, crawling toward him. Even shaken up, Aaron moves toward the zombie, saying that as expected, Horn really had grown up. 2 years earlier, our MC was hiding in a village to escape loan sharks. In a flashback, a little blonde boy calls Aaron Master Knight, and Aaron asks why he's calling him that. Horn, a book lover, explains he read in a book that knights are strong and cool, and Aaron was the strongest and coolest person he'd ever seen, so that's why he called him that. The guard starts messing with Horn, ruffling his hair, thinking he really liked that kid. Back in the present, rain falls on zombie Horn's head, and on the MC. Even after settling into the Kasserdik fortress, Aaron still went to visit his little friend. He'd tell him about the huge library in the city, full of books. Hearing those stories, Horn would say he wanted to become a librarian, and Aaron got it, because the kid was crazy about books, and that job fit him perfectly. At that moment, the guard tries to swing at the zombie in front of him, but he hesitates before he can do it. Remembering the day he saw Horn's face all bruised up and asked if something happened, Horn, crying, says his dad beat him up because he talked about his dream of becoming a librarian. But his father said a farmer's son can only be a farmer. Thinking about that, Aaron says demons don't feed on human fear, but on despair. Then he steps forward and hugs his zombified friend, completely heartbroken. He even takes a bite from Horn. Then he says he wasn't a knight, just the captain of the fortress guard. Suddenly, a bunch of people arrive. Dylan shows up with an army and tells his brother he woke up all the mercenaries. Then he orders them to wipe out all the zombies, and the mercenaries charge into battle. Aaron lays Horn's body down on the ground and closes his eyes, asking him to rest in peace. Suddenly, the building where Vivian was starts to catch fire. Grabbing his sword, the MC walks off to avenge his friend. Inside the building, a woman gets killed. After that, Ben says the reason they were secretly heading to another fortress was because someone was after young Vivian, and apparently the rumor was true, and even though he wasn't ready for this sudden attack, he'd keep holding his sword for that lady, because that was every knight's dream. That wouldn't change even if his enemy was some twisted demon, so he tells that disgusting thing to back off. The demon mocks the knight and tells him to stop talking nonsense, because it wouldn't change anything. After all, the dagger that wounded him was poisoned, and the stew was too, so the young man's mind must be messed up, no chance of winning. Hearing that, Ben doesn't flinch and calls his enemy ugly. Annoyed, the demon's arm starts opening up with a bunch of eyes. Then it lunges at the knight, warning him to watch his mouth. It lands on the ground in front of him with a massive impact. Ben realizes he's only at half his strength, and the aura on his sword is almost invisible. However, the demon corruption was only on one arm, so you could beat him by hitting his human parts. That's why Ben dodges the enemy's strike and goes into attack. He uses his rapier to slash at the demon's neck, thinking he still has a chance to win. But with his demon arm, the monster grabs Ben by the throat, showing he already knew Ben's plan. Then he says he'd never die at the hands of some random knight, so he starts choking the knight, and right before passing out, Ben sees something. Aaron appears on the demon's back, ready to avenge Horn, stabbing the devil from behind and making ketchup spray everywhere. Even after losing part of its head, the monster turns around and counterattacks, smacking Aaron with its demon arm and throwing him back. Then it starts regenerating, saying that because of some bastard it ended up wasting blood, and because of that they needed to grab Vivian fast. The MC, even injured, gets back up and says his friend turned into a zombie, so he's going to get revenge for him. He charges at his enemy, clashing his sword against the demon arm. Aaron gets thrown back again, but still manages to slice his opponent's chest. Trying to stand, our hero says he'll keep cutting the monster until it stops regenerating. That pisses the half-demon off even more, and it starts cursing at the guard. While it's regenerating, the idiot realizes the demon arm has started sucking his blood, and at this rate he's going to get drained. Meanwhile, the MC gets up again, mocking his opponent for already freaking out after just 2 attacks, and jumps in once more to attack the disgusting creature. The demon catches the guard's sword and asks who the hell Horn even was for him to go this far. It also wonders where this guy's strength is coming from, since he isn't even a knight. Aaron notices something behind him, turns and blocks an unknown attack. John, the one who struck, reveals himself as a traitor. Aaron says he was basically just waiting for John to show his true colors. The commander starts swinging his sword like crazy. While defending, Aaron says the villagers were sacrificed, and John showed up at the perfect time, so he suspected him. Their swords clash, and the commander is furious at Aaron, because thanks to him the plan still hasn't been completed. Taking advantage of that, the Satanist tries to heal, but the demon arm starts moving on its own and says it's too late. The body isn't needed anymore. The demonic eruption begins spreading through the idiot's body, even as he begs for his life. During the exchange, Aaron's sword breaks, leaving him in a really bad spot. John takes the chance to pull a dagger and end the fight. Before the commander can do anything, the MC smashes him right in the face with the hilt of his sword. The commander starts to fall, complaining about his defeat. But the real nightmare is only just starting, and a humanoid shape appears. Seeing the disgusting creature in front of him, Aaron realizes that Guy's body was completely eaten by the demon. The nasty monster starts doing something with its core, then asks what Aaron's going to do, because he's about to be taken. After all, the guard has no strength left, and he isn't even a knight, so it wants to see what the human will do. Even hearing that, the MC rushes the demon anyway, grabs its shoulder and bites the disgusting thing with his own mouth, thinking he still has enough strength to fight. Seeing that, the creature starts laughing, impressed, and then something happens. Suddenly, Aaron wakes up in a tavern. There, the gladiator Golgai is demanding a debt from his gambler buddy named Wei. Watching that, the mage Avery starts laughing. The red-headed vice-captain Udra tells Wei to cut it out and give Golgai his money back. Aaron recognizes them as his old comrades from his mercenary days. Annoyed, Golgai lets Wei go, and the gambler tries to explain himself to Udra. Then the group's commander puts a hand on Aaron's shoulder. When the MC turns around, he sees the commander completely beaten up, asking if he forgot. The commander says Aaron has to survive no matter what, and then we see all around the guard, his entire old group lying dead. Seeing that, the demon eye comments that it was so delicious. Aaron wakes up from that crazy dream back in reality, and Ben asks how the captain is doing. The MC realizes the knight is still alive. Ben says Aaron almost straight up died, and his presence was getting weaker and weaker, but now it's back to normal. While our hero wonders why he feels so good, the knight says he found him unconscious there. Also, that human demon was lying right next to him. Then someone asks if Aaron was the one who beat the villain, but the guard says he doesn't remember anything, and since the monster was already dead, it didn't really matter who killed it. After that, the MC asks why the demons were after Vivian anyway. She looked like she'd been sleeping peacefully, totally unaware of everything. Ben says that's none of his business, but admits he owes Aaron for the help. he properly introduces himself as Ben, a knight from the fortress, and thanks the captain for helping out. The MC just tells Ben not to worry about it, and finally morning comes. They light a bonfire to burn the zombie bodies. Watching Horn turn to ash, Eren realizes those bastards sacrificed the whole village to summon the devil. They did all of that because they wanted the life of Lady de Caserdic, and the whole situation smelled fishy, so he turns and leaves. After all the bodies are cremated, the caravan heads back to Caserdic. They also agree to say Ben was the hero who defeated the demon, because if people found out about Eren's contact with a demon, things could get worse, and the church might start an investigation. Either way, Eren's happy because he survived, and he's gonna get a reward. Dylan shows up asking why his brother is walking so fast. The MC says that Weasel survived by hiding under a pile of bodies, and he was stubborn as hell. Even so, Eren shoves the redhead away while celebrating that it was finally over. But later, in his room, the captain realizes it was only just beginning. Looking at his chest, Eren sees a demonic eye and gets completely confused. The eye talks and asks how its new friend is doing. Without hesitating, the guy grabs a dagger and tries to cut the thing out of his body. The blade hits the eye, but it does nothing, and the demon laughs, saying it tickles. Pissed off, our hero starts yelling at the demon to shut up, and even Henna hears him. After failing, the MC lies down on the bed and asks if the eye is the same demon from before, and it confirms it. The captain wonders if the monster got into his body when it bit him, and if that's why he lost his memories. The creature says it was just taking control of the body, and the guard tells it to get out or he'll rip it out by force. Totally unfazed, the monster says that's not up to Eren, and that switching hosts takes time. More specifically, about 100 years, and hearing that, the MC tries to stab the eye again. The demon says possessing the captain's body could be good for both of them. Then it starts using its power, making a green mist appear around Eren's sword. When the captain realizes its aura, he wonders how a demon can use the knight's power. Completely exhausted, the eye tries to play it off, and asks if the captain can see that potential. Before it can finish talking, the eye passes out, leaving our hero confused. Disappointed, the guard calls the guy a weakling, but then Henna suddenly yells for Eren, and that freaks him out, because if anyone saw that thing on his chest, he'd be screwed. She tells him to hurry downstairs because someone from the church is looking for him. Tired of waiting, the church guy pushes past Henna, shoving her aside. Then he orders that damn peasant to show himself and not keep a noble waiting, because Sir Ben was looking for him. Before he can say anything else, he gets punched right in the face. Eren acts like he knows him, calling the guy JC, the half-breed. He tells the ugly dude to just lie there for a bit while he finishes getting ready. Later, as she watches him leave, Henna says in a flirty way that she learned a massage that can make anyone feel good, but it cost 50 bronze coins, and hearing that, Eren ignores her and leaves, dragging the half-breed along. Walking through the city, the MC feels relieved. He thought he was in trouble, but it was just Ben. Then he wonders if he's gonna get a reward for defeating the demon. In a flashback, Ben asks if Eren's sure about his decision, because defeating a demon is a super prestigious title. The captain says yes, and jokes that if Ben's insisting that much, then he just wants part of the reward. Ben says that if he gets a reward he'll call him. The MC explains that aura is a power meant to destroy evil, a miracle granted only to knights. Only people chosen by the Empire become knights, and nobody really knows how they're trained, so it's weird and scary that the demon's power looks like aura. Eren asks the half-breed how long it's going to take. Jace tells the guy to be patient, and asks what kind of nickname that was. The MC explains he calls him that because Jace was adopted, only half-noble. Hearing that, the half-noble swears he'll finish the MC off someday. But right then, the two of them reach the Solar Church's main hall, and seeing it, Eren freezes because now there's a demon inside his body. Inside, Ben welcomes the captain and says he'd been waiting for him, pointing out that the guy looks really nervous. In his head, Eren answers that he's scared of getting exorcised. Ben then introduces the church's priest, Blian, and he greets the visitor. He also introduces a super tough jacked woman named Joanna, the Inquisitor, praising her faith. Joanna and Eren lock eyes. The Inquisitor suddenly moves in on the MC, and he puts his hand on his sword, thinking he's been found out. But Joanna just bonks him on the head. Blian, all excited, says the Inquisitor, extended her hand of blessing, so Eren's lucky. Eren realizes it's some kind of religious ritual, and on the other hand, the demon inside him gets pissed off at being touched by one of God's underlings. Blian says he already knows Eren refused the credit, even though he defeated the demon, so their church is going to make a small gesture to honor his achievements. Seeing an item in front of him, the MC recognizes it as the church's gold brooch. He asks if he can really accept it, and the priest confirms he can. Blian only asks that Eren lend his strength whenever the church needs it. Our hero says he's heard Blian is one of the corrupt ones responsible for controlling the power behind Caserdic, but then he shouts that from today on, the priest will be his father in faith. He even wishes long life to the Solar Church. Seeing the MC with his hair slicked back and looking totally different, Kale asks if he intimidated and robbed some noble. Eren ignores him and criticizes the scarf Kale's wearing, which makes the guy really mad. Then he explains the brooch is a gift infused with the sun god's energy, and the armor was bought with sacred gold. At that moment, a cute girl with 2 huge balloons on her chest walks up to deliver 2 mugs of beer. Kale thanks Charlotte, and she asks if Brig isn't around. She heard he's off today. She and Kale start chatting, and the woman reveals she likes Brig, so she's been wanting to give him a massage. Hearing that, Aaron realizes who Henna learned that from, while also complaining the beer is warm, since he misses ice-cold beer. Charlotte asks if they've heard the rumors. A group of scammers showed up around there. More specifically, at the Sick Mermaid Inn, since a bunch of outlaws have been staying there, and betting started happening. At the inn, we see Dylan not believing what he's seeing. He asks how the person in front of him managed to roll a 6 5 times in a row, even accusing them of cheating. Charlotte wraps up her gossip, saying that in the inn's betting games, a little girl was basically running the dice table. Furious, Aaron stands up, wondering how some underage kid dared to gamble in his district. He says that as captain of the church guard, he's not going to just sit there and watch this happen. Kale crawls over begging his captain not to do it, leaving Charlotte confused. With a scary vibe, Aaron tells Kale to come with him because he's going to wipe out that kid's little gambling operation. Aaron kicks in the door of the Sad Mermaid Tavern. The bartender Joseph freaks out, but the guard just asks where the betting table is. Joseph asks if Aaron didn't quit gambling. Our hero says he won a ton of money, so he's only going to play once. He sits at one of the tables, saying he wants to see if this kid is really that good with dice. After rolling again, Aaron and the kid gambler both get a 6, so it's a tie. The MC decides to raise his bet, and the little girl immediately raises hers too. She thinks he threw a few rounds on purpose, and because of that, Aaron got cocky and started betting big money. A man behind her gives a signal, and when she sees it, she realizes it's time to start. So the little brat starts manipulating the dice inside the cup with magic. She's thinking she's about to steal every cent from this idiot, when suddenly the guard tells her to stop. Aaron asks if the thief is trying to cheat using magic, and she asks if he has proof. He says he does, and reveals the bandit changed his die to a 4, and she also changed her own die to a 4, so she'd win the game. Then he lifts the cup off his die, proving he's right. He says he's sure the girl used magic. And honestly, it's common for a gang of criminals to use a young mage to cheat in betting games. One of the guys in the crowd reveals he's the one behind the whole scheme and pulls out a sword. Then he tells Aaron to hand over all his money if he wants to live. The MC says if those idiots even knew who he was, they wouldn't be doing this. Still, he says he actually liked the dice game. So the guard tosses a gold coin onto the table, asking for one more round. When they see it's a real gold coin, the bandits freak out. One of the scumbags asks what Aaron's goal even is, because he knows everyone there is a criminal, including the girl, and yet he still wants to play. Tired of all the talking, the guard asks if the idiot is scared. That pisses the criminal off. He bets all his money, and says that if Kenna doesn't win, he'll lose his hand. While he spins the cup with his die, the MC says the mage should have gone to a magic academy, instead of getting mixed up with bastards. Then he asks if the girl is poor, and trying to win money to go to a magic academy. Kenna tells Aaron to stop assuming stuff, he doesn't know anything. Judging by her reaction, the guard realizes he was right. The axe guy thinks they won't let this dude leave alive after exposing them, so when Aaron reveals his die, they'll finish him off. But suddenly the guard asks if Kenna can freeze beer with magic. The thief says yes, but she's instantly confused by the question. The captain is happy with the answer, and out of nowhere throws the dice straight into the axe guy's face. While they're explaining how the dice game works, our MC starts throwing hands. One of the punks rushes Aaron to mess him up, and during the whole rules of the game explanation, the brawl just explodes. Our hero starts handing out punches and kicks to all the bandits in the bar. Furious, the axe guy jumps at the guard, but he misses. Aaron grabs the axe handle and asks if they aren't ashamed of living off a little girl. He grabs the bandit by the neck, cussing the idiot out. With a purple aura, the boss of the idiots appears behind Aaron, bringing his dagger up to Aaron's neck. The MC easily dodges, making the attack hit the axe guy instead, and he recognizes that purple aura as dark magic. He even mocks the boss for accidentally taking out his own partner. Then he grabs the dumbass by the face and lifts him up into the air. Seeing all that, Kenna can't believe one guy beat everyone there. Kale tosses the gold coin back to Aaron, complaining that he always gets into trouble when he's gambling. Then he recognizes the bandit as Shock, a wanted assassin from the neighboring city. Aaron ignores it, starts looking for Kenna, and finds her nearby. The thief shrinks back, apologizing and begging to be spared, asking if Aaron needs money. But the guard just says that if she makes him a cold mug of beer every day, he'll introduce her to a great job with room and board until Kenna gets into a magic academy. Then Aaron asks if she's in. Shocked, the little girl immediately agrees. The next day, Aaron is back at his morning training. Kenna comes up offering beer, and he calls her a mini fridge. After taking a drink, the guard gets super hyped because it's at the perfect temperature. Then he asks how old she is. When she says she's 12, the captain gets confused because the mini fridge is really tiny, and he even asks if Kenna's a dwarf. Kenna shows up annoyed, asking if that girl is Aaron's daughter. Hearing that, the MC practically spits out his beer, then explains he found Kenna on the street. Also, Henna needed helpers, so Kenna would be a new employee. The tavern owner hugs the ex-thief, saying there's no way a girl that cute could be Aaron's kid. She starts saying she knows about the girl's past, and that she'll protect her from now on. But showing her real intentions, Henna asks how many cups of ice-cold beer the fridge can make per day. Aaron's daily routine as captain of the guard starts with him greeting Manuel when he arrives and getting scolded for beating people up. Second, he patrols the market to keep order in the fortress, and he eats some fruit without paying just because he's shameless. Even annoyed, the vendors forgive the captain, because thanks to him the market stays peaceful. Lastly, his group intimidates bandits to extort money from them. Kale threatens a smuggler, and at that moment Aaron walks up and tells the guy to take it easy. Then he tells his allies to take 300 copper coins and keep 100, so both Kale and Poole thank him. At the city gate, our hero is doing an inspection. Out of nowhere, some guy shows up reciting a secret code. Aaron asks if Scar sent the kid again, and the messenger tells the guard not to say the name of the fortress's shadow so carelessly. Even so, our MC just tells the guy to shut up and say why he's there. After looking around, the bald dude says a lot of weird people have been coming into Kasserdik lately. A bunch of them were pretending to be merchants and acting suspicious, so the guy hands Aaron a note. The note says the outsiders got into the fortress and were trying to hide, but they wouldn't fool Scar, the King of Shadows. Reading that, Aaron gets secondhand embarrassment, crumples the paper up and tosses it. He says he doesn't have time for Scar's little games, and Scar's underling should be the one reporting this. The guy asks how the guard can be so mean, and gets sent away again. Aaron thinks more outsiders in this backwater would actually be good for the economy. Right then, a carriage shows up, and the MC tells Carter to wake up because it's time to make money. He signals the cart to stop, noticing something's off. The MC feels a weird vibe coming from the driver. While the captain is thinking about arresting the guy, Carter, on the other hand, acts like he knows the merchant. He introduces him as Dorno, a trader transferred from Moserk. Holding a bag of coins, Dorno starts buttering Aaron up. Greedy Aaron totally falls for it, just takes the money and decides the guy seems cool. Carter asks if the merchant brought that, and the man agrees, showing a vial filled with little black pellets. Sleepy Carter thanks him and asks for one, saying it knocks him out after he takes it. When Aaron walks over, Carter asks his captain not to confiscate it, which confuses him. Aaron approaches Dorno, saying he needs to check everything that comes into the fortress. He asks if the merchant has anything suspicious, but Dorno denies it. Dorno even says if he did have something like that, he'd just pay an extra fee. Then Aaron notices a tattoo on his neck. Looking at the carriage, Carter freaks out and tells his boss to look fast. They both see a bunch of slaughtered goats. The captain realizes they're in terrible condition, and at this rate the meat and the cart are going to rot. He asks what Dorno plans to do with all that, but Dorno just stares at him. Then he gives some flimsy excuse and hands over more money, and Aaron accepts it immediately, without even a hint of shame. He lets the carriage into the city. After getting through inspection, Dorno calls the guards idiots, and says he's going to turn this place into hell. Watching him leave, our hero wonders if Dorno likes high places. Remembering Scar's message, Aaron smiles, thinking Dorno should be careful, because in times like these, you were either innocent, or you got hanged. At a tavern, Kale can't believe it because Charlotte invited Brig on a date. The big guy says she asked him to go watch an execution together. Hearing that, Vermin gets insanely jealous. Meanwhile, our MC is just stunned that these idiots scheduled a date at an execution site, getting even more annoyed with this medieval era. Brig, all happy, says he's planning to give Charlotte the fish bread his mom makes. Aaron can't believe it, and Vermin asks if the idiot is really going to give that crap to the girl. Just thinking about it makes Vermin puke, while Brig says there's nothing wrong with his mom's bread. Plus, it was super popular back where his family's from, and Aaron asks if everyone in this town has terrible taste. He even says that bread is basically no different from baked poop. Right then, Scar's underling shows up again, reciting the code, but gets shut down with a punch to the face. As he drags the bald guy out of there, Aaron says in the end it doesn't matter, and Brig should just be happy. A while later, they reach an alley. Scar is there holding a huge axe, just waiting for his friend. He asks if Aaron remembers their oath. While Scar ruled the shadows, the guard would stay in the light, so together they could take over the fortress of Kasserdik. Furious, Aaron asks if the idiot wants to die for calling him over for nothing, even insulting Scar's hat. The captain snatches the accessory off the King of Shadows and tells Scar's followers to do the same, and everyone obeys. Yanking the bald guy by the ear, the protagonist starts scolding the city's watch for messing around with these stupid games. Scar tells the guard to listen, saying the outsiders from before have been acting even stranger lately, and just like expected, the foreigners have been meeting every night in secret to plot something. Aaron yanks his ear even harder, telling Scar to stay out of it because the guards will handle the situation. Then he adds that Baldy hasn't been showing up at the carpentry workshop, and his dad's been looking for him. Hearing that, Scar and his group say goodbye to Aaron and take off running. Our hero realizes something big is about to go down, so he decides to be careful. A while later, he knocks on the door of a little isolated house. The executioner Dallas and his son Ted welcome the captain, and the kid compliments his armor. Aaron hands Ted an apple to eat, and teaches him to say thank you. all the while thinking, like always, that this house felt pretty intimidating. Dallas apologizes for calling our MC over, but Aaron says it's fine. The two of them drink tea and talk about how Aaron captured all 6 prisoners who are going to be executed. While Ted is amazed by the apples, the captain is surprised because the boy's gotten a lot bigger. The MC hands over the advance payment Nova sent and says she asked Dallas to show off his best skills at the event. Dallas just nods and says he's planning to take Ted to the execution because the kid needs to get ready to take over the family business. After all, a farmer's son grows up to be a farmer, so an executioner's son becomes an executioner. But the idea of passing on a job where you take people's lives always made him feel awful, and it's because of that job that Ted's mom ran away, and right then the kid offers apples to both of them. The executioner thanks Aaron for treating them well and says he's sorry about what happened to Hans. Aaron replies that anyone can sin, so he tells Dallas to chop his head off if he ever becomes a criminal. The executioner agrees right away, and Ted says he'd do that for his dad too. So Dallas says goodbye to his friend until execution day. That night, a group is meeting up, and one of them says it's been hard to do anything in secret because Scar's been watching the area. On top of that, Kutan, the human with the demon arm, got beaten in the attack outside the fortress, so it was time to start making moves. Dornoa tells the guy to relax, because there'll be an execution in the city square in a few days. With that opportunity, the heart of the Lady of Kasardik will be theirs. The villains agree with Lord Dorno, then ask if that guard over there is asleep or dead. Then we see Sleepy Carter leaning against a wall, dozing off. On execution day, in the city square of Kasardik, Kenna uses her magic to chill a beer, and when the drunks see it, they're impressed and rush to buy. Kenna also announces her new bread with strawberry jam, served with wine for the townspeople. Aaron's group is nearby, protecting her business. The greedy woman thanks the MC for the jam bread idea, because it's bringing in a ton of customers. And the cold beer is super popular too. The MC thinks he's basically using a marketing strategy, where jam bread and wine go well with an execution. After all, these medieval idiots even dip bread in the condemned guy's blood. Kenna asks why Aaron saved Kenna, and he says it's because he wanted a cup of cold beer. But she says that can't be the only reason, because it's rare for Aaron to show interest in anyone. Not knowing how to explain, our MC remembers the day he found a stray cat out in the rain. So he says Kenna reminded him of that kitten. She looks confused, but then Verman shows up, pissed off. He asks why they're working there when the rest of the unit is off today. Aaron explains they got some intel, so they're working undercover, and Verman should report it if he sees anything weird. That gets the vice captain fired up, and the guard asks why only he and Poole came today. The vice captain says Brig is out on a date with Charlotte, and Carter's off snoring somewhere. A bit later, Aaron goes looking for Ted and finds him in front of a cell, asking why he's there. Ted says he went to calm the guests down because they were nervous. He tells the prisoners not to worry, because his dad has already chopped off over 100 heads. So the criminals will leave this world without feeling any pain, and Aaron praises the kid for that attitude. The gang leader, the one our MC beat up, stands up furious, but Aaron mocks him because he can't say anything with his mouth gagged. Then he says time's up, and it's time to lose his head. On the execution platform, the gang leader has his head resting. Without a shred of remorse, the executioner Dallas cleanly slices the boy's head off. Everyone in the crowd cheers, basically bathing in the criminal's ketchup. As the next victim is brought out, Aaron thinks executions back then were almost like a political festival. They were meant to let citizens blow off steam and show off the king's power. In a flashback before the execution starts, Nova says this event is way more important than usual, because the criminals Aaron captured earlier killed a noble from Karzan, and since the Lord was planning to ally with that city, this execution was basically a diplomatic event, meaning nothing could go wrong. Back in the present, Aaron curses Nova out for putting that kind of pressure on him, but then he notices a weird figure in the crowd. When the hooded guy turns around, our MC recognizes Dorno and wonders why he's there. Right then, an explosion goes off, and all the civilians start freaking out. Suddenly, a bunch more explosions hit nearby, and as chaos takes over, Aaron realizes they're under attack. One blast hits Lord of Kasserdig, Fulputs, sending him flying and making the guards panic. Aaron laughs at the mess until he remembers his group is in charge of security, so if the king gets screwed his head's gonna roll too, and in the middle of all that, Dallas executes another criminal. The MC compliments the family man for still working even in this situation, but Dallas says he's just doing his job. Seeing all this, Aaron gets fired up and decides to do his part too, heading straight toward the flames to do his duty as captain of the guard. Civilians keep running in panic with no idea what's going on. Vermin and Poole try to calm everyone down, but it's still a disaster, and in the middle of it, 2 kids are crying, looking for their family. Brig and Charlotte help with the evacuation too, while Henna tries to calm Kenna. Aaron reaches his group carrying the 2 kids who were crying earlier. He hands them to Kale and asks if they saw anyone suspicious wearing a hood. Kale and Brig say no, but as Aaron scans the crowd more carefully, he spots something. Dorno is carrying Lady Vivian, and that's when Aaron realizes she's a target of the attack too. He immediately orders Guard Unit 4 to follow him, because they're going after a criminal, and if they fail, they'll be the next ones under the guillotine. So hearing that, everyone in the group starts panicking. By nightfall, Verman and Aaron are searching together for the criminal. The vice captain points out they couldn't even catch Hans, just some regular guy, but Aaron shuts him down for being so negative. Then they find Lord Fulpitz alive and celebrate, until they come across one of his knights dead because of the explosion. Aaron keeps walking, commenting that those knights were never reliable. In an alley, he finds another one of those useless guys, badly injured, Ben leaning against the wall. Ben's happy to see Aaron, but immediately feels embarrassed to be in that state. While pouring a healing potion on him, the MC jokes, asking if Ben is really a knight at all, since the guy gets beat up so easily. The knight admits he let his guard down, and because of that he got attacked by one of the criminals, a dark mage. He even warns Aaron to be careful, because there's a traitor in the guard. Just then, they hear a scream, and Verman recognizes the voice as Kale's. Nearby, the pretty boy is yelling after getting wrecked by a big blue musclehead. Confused, the blue guy asks what Kale's deal is, because he's acting way too dramatic for someone who barely got punched. Kale, with some evil plan in mind, tells the enemy to wait. Then a wall gets smashed, and Kale realizes his plan worked. Aaron shows up and grabs the blue monster by the neck, complaining that the wall collapsed from just one hit. The creature starts choking and wonders who this monster is with such insane grip strength. The MC asks why the monster is so weak compared to the demon he fought outside the fortress. The stranger just thinks at this rate he's gonna die, but Aaron lets him go. The blue guy starts catching his breath, while our MC threatens him and tells him to spill everything or he'll torture him. But before Aaron can have fun, the monster blurts out that the dark mage is the one behind it, and that bastard is after Vivian's heart. Aaron's shocked the monster talks so fast, and his group starts laughing. The monster keeps going. He even gives them the location of their base, and says the mage made a deal with a demon using black magic. Our MC asks why the villain needs the lady's heart, but the monster says he doesn't know and begs for his life. Seeing how honest and obedient the guy was, Aaron decides to spare him, and tells his group to take him away. The big blue guy thanks them, walks off, and chats with the MC's group. Putting the pieces together, Aaron realizes Dorna was the dark mage, but why they wanted Vivian was still a mystery. Just then, someone steps out of the shadows calling for the captain. Carter says the night is beautiful, and Aaron asks if the kid just woke up. Then he tells the idiot to sleep less, because it was basically turning into a disease. Carter says he can't control it, and asks if his captain knows how painful it is to not be able to sleep. He says that when he's sleepy, he doesn't even feel awake, like he's stuck in a dream with fog over his mind. Then he quietly pulls out a sword and tries to finish off his captain. The MC manages to block with his own sword. Without any remorse, Carter tells Aaron goodnight, and says he's going to put him into a dream he'll never wake up from. Carter explains that when he was young, a famine hit his village. With nothing to eat, the villagers survived on tree roots. Sometimes they also ate rats and cockroaches. Because of the hunger, he and his brother got really skinny, but one day, meat suddenly showed up on the table. And after a long time, his family finally had a proper meal. Everyone in his family enjoyed it, except his brother, because he was the one used as the food. Then we see Carter's father doing something cruel. Back in the fight, Carter says that since that day he hasn't slept well a single night. He always lay there thinking he might end up with the same fate as his poor little brother. While defending himself from his ex-friend's attacks, Aaron says he's heard that story before. He tries to counterattack but misses. After backing off, Carter says he's way stronger now, because he finally slept well after so long, and it was all thanks to the sweets Dorno gave him. So the guy starts giving off a purple energy. Aaron realizes this idiot got power from the devil and boosted his stats. On top of that, Sleepyhead was always naturally talented at fighting even without training, and Carter charges at his captain. Our MC dodges easily, showing he's stronger thanks to experience. When Carter sees his captain casually dodge that heavy hit, he gets pissed. His hand starts turning into a demonic shape, and he tries to punch the MC. The captain dodges to the side and goes for a counter, saying he gets it. He also had trouble sleeping, so he forgives his friend. Then he stops his sword on the other side of Carter's chest and asks the sleepy guy to forgive him too. Spitting up blood, the poor exhausted Carter sees his little brother calling to him. He says he's sleepy, then rests his head on his captain's shoulder. Aaron tells him to sleep well, and says he'll sing him his last and best lullaby. Another explosion goes off, taking out even more guards, and then we see Dorno with Vivian. The villain used the same escape route Hans used to get out of the city. Outside, the merchant celebrates, saying all the effort was worth it because he got the one loved by Mana. So now all he had to do was take her heart and consume it. Before he can keep going, someone approaches. Aaron asks how the black mage managed to find the small tunnel. He cracks his knuckles and says he's got a few questions. Dorno mocks him, asking who Aaron thinks he is, because he's not a knight, just a rookie guard captain. Then the dark mage summons a wolf and a snake made of shadows. They lunge to bite Aaron, but he slices them in half. The dark mage summons a wolf's head again, and the black shape manages to bite Aaron's arm. Even after cutting the monster in two, the MC realizes he's been infected with a magical curse. His body feels heavy and it hurts to move, so it'd be dangerous if this fight drags on. Dorno acknowledges his enemy's skills, but asks if he can handle Lord Quintel's Legion of Shadows, and the wolf head and the snake appear again. Aaron says that this petting zoo is way too small to be called a legion, which pisses the merchant off. The snake starts charging black energy in its mouth. The MC thinks that if he wanted to follow the rules, he should capture this bastard alive. But Dorno tricked his friend and sold him to demons, so he can't forgive him. As he moves in to attack the dark snake, the captain says the black mage is sentenced to immediate execution. Aaron slices through a bunch of creatures made of darkness with his sword. Dorno starts spouting some nonsense and casts a spell at Aaron. All of a sudden, this weird purple creature shows up and wraps around the MC's body to hold him in place. Watching his enemy, Dorno says this triple curse is a pain even for knights. But before the creature can use its hand to crush the captain, the guy slices it up easily. Telling his opponent to stop talking crap and clearly fed up, the merchant pulls a vial out from under his hood. He throws it on the ground and it shatters with a finger inside. A dragon-like creature appears, and Dorno explains it was a demonic beast. The ugly monster tries to smack Aaron with its tail, but misses. Dorno keeps mocking the MC for being just a guard captain. Ignoring him, Aaron climbs up the monster's tail and tries to hit it with his sword, but he realizes he can't even scratch the thing. Normal methods won't work, so the captain launches himself straight at the monster's mouth and ends up getting swallowed. The dark mage starts laughing when he sees the idiot jump into the monster's mouth on his own. Inside the dragon, Aaron wonders why Dorno is laughing. He decides to ignore it and tells the demon in his chest to come out. The eye wakes up, asking if it was being called. Aaron makes fun of it for going quiet after showing its powers, then asks it to use that again. The creature says the captain really is a foolish human, but interesting, and Aaron's sword starts getting wrapped in an aura. It says it'll lend him its power, but wants something in return. From now on, it doesn't want to be called ugly names anymore. Even though it doesn't know what the words mean, it finds them unpleasant. Aaron agrees. Aaron's whole body starts tingling like he just got struck by lightning, and his sword shines again. From inside the monster, a bunch of blue attacks start bursting out through its throat. Seeing aura being used, Dorno gets confused, refusing to believe it. While he's wondering if Aaron is a knight, the man bursts out of the red monster. The creature collapses, defeated. Then Dorno asks who the captain really is, and if he was sent by the imperial family. Our MC, practically radiating hatred, walks toward him. He takes his head clean off, saying he's just a fortress guard. Later, as he puts his sword away, thinking everything's finally quiet, he tells Carter to sleep well. Dorno's severed head starts speaking unknown words and forms a magic circle. Aaron realizes it's a spell that activates after death. He rushes to Vivian and grabs her to protect her. A powerful energy hits Dorno. While holding Vivian, Aaron sees a colossal red-horned demon walking toward him, and realizes he's totally screwed. Aaron takes off running to try to save himself, but the giant monster stomps the ground. Everything shakes and the MC drops to his knees. With no choice, the hero draws his sword, but suddenly a voice can be heard. The giant demon gets hit by a massive strike, and then we see two people shouting and looking for Vivian. The two aura users charge the red monster and attack it. Hidden behind a tree, the MC recognizes them. One is a female knight, and the other is the Inquisitor. Vivian starts waking up and gets confused when she sees the guard. Afraid she'll think he's the kidnapper, Aaron knocks the girl out with a punch. He lays her on the ground and covers her face with a cloth because of the cold. Then he says goodbye to Vivian and leaves. After the battle ends, the red monster has been defeated. The green-haired knight wonders where Vivian is. The sun starts to rise, and with the light, the Inquisitor manages to find where the girl is. They both run over to Vivian, see the cloth covering her face, and wonder if she's dead. At the Rabbit Tavern, Brig is furious because Unit 4 got blamed for letting a dark mage slip past the gate. Aaron explains it's been a week since the dark mage attack. The lord who flew through the sky like a bird somehow got out without a scratch, and his daughter Vivian was brought back alive, so the whole situation basically ended. Also, because Aaron lied in his report, everyone thinks Carter died in battle fighting a demon. Because of that, Carter's family got money from the government. Kale and Poole are sad, just wishing Carter a good sleep. Brig holds back tears, and seeing that, our MC raises a toast in honor of the sleepyhead. As he takes a swig of the nasty drink, Aaron thinks that at least Carter kept his honor. Vermin warns everyone that a new guard is coming to replace Carter in Unit 4. Before he can say more, someone opens the tavern door. Dylan the Weasel introduces himself as the new recruit for Unit 4 of the guard. Seeing that, Aaron tells Carter to come back immediately. The kid gets excited seeing his big bro there. Poole and Brig seem to like the new guy. Dylan starts lying about having fought zombies, and when Kale hears this loudmouth, he wishes he'd just shut up. Aaron asks how an idiot like that even got recruited, and Henna wonders the same thing. Still annoyed about the other day, the girl slams a mug on the table and stares Dylan down. Before she leaves, Dylan asks the waitress to wait. He apologizes 1,000 times for what happened the other day, saying he only did it because all mercenaries act like that. Henna says it's fine, while pointing a crossbow at his forehead, and saying she's used to dealing with idiots in this job. But if he ever pulls something like that again, he's getting a hole in his head. and that scares even Aaron. Our MC calls the weasel over and hands him a sword. He warns Dylan that he's part of Unit 4 of the Outer Guard now, and he'd better work hard, or he'll kill him. The redhead gets emotional receiving the gift, and agrees with his new master. Dylan, the new member of Unit 4, had no idea yet, but he was going to seriously regret joining this team of lunatics. At the city gate, Aaron is slapping a merchant, and it freaks Dylan out. The MC yells at the seller for falling asleep during the trip, so the poor guy just leaves, confused. The guard tells the weasel to watch and do the same, because after the demon incident, inspections got stricter. Dylan asks if stealing coins from merchants and even hitting them to check if they're demons is really a guard's job. Clearly loving it, the redhead starts intimidating some old guy to get coins. Watching that, Aaron says this idiot was born to threaten and rob people, and honestly that's good. Coins will come in without them even having to try. Then this huge guard starts arguing with Dylan. The guy complains that the redhead still wants to inspect the wagon, even after seeing the Finner family symbol. Dylan says he doesn't care and tells him to just pay up already. But the idiot gets hit in the neck by our MC, and the captain apologizes for the newbie's behavior. While inspecting the wagon though, he sees it's only carrying soldiers, no nobles. So he says the Lord ordered every wagon inspected no matter what family it belongs to, and that the soldier's attitude was insulting to the king. Then Aaron and Dylan start intimidating the poor soldier, accusing him of offending the king. The guy wonders how they switched up so fast just because they found out there were no nobles in there. He apologizes and offers coins to settle it, and Aaron accepts. The MC ends the conversation, but before leaving, he gives the soldier a solid smack on the head. On the other hand, the soldier curses Aaron out, and gets furious over the humiliation. After Kayla says the church is looking for him, the captain puts on his armor and goes there. He's irritated, because he doesn't want to be there with a demon inside him. Plus, there's a chance he's already been found out. And right then the Inquisitor shows up, opening the door. Aaron jumps, but then Father Blean appears and greets him. As the MC recovers from the scare, the priest asks if the boy fought a demon, because Joanna told him everything, and she clearly saw Aaron protecting Vivian from the giant. The guard relaxes since Joanna didn't see him using his demon powers. The priest praises his courage, even though he's just a guard, and says he prepared a reward. Remembering his first reward, the guard starts laughing and sucking up to the priest, but Blean gives him a tacky handkerchief and the title of honorary monk. Awkwardly, Aaron thanks him, but thinks what he really wanted was money. Blean also asks the captain to guide Joanna around, since she wants to look around the fortress. He says goodbye and leaves, and Aaron is left pissed off, cursing him out. Looking at Joanna, the captain thinks that if she finds out about the demon, she'll crack his skull with one hit. The MC asks if the Inquisitor is hungry, and suggests going to a restaurant. A little later, there's a fish bun in front of Joanna, and Aaron thinks he's about to make her never want to see him again. It's the main dish at Briggs' mom's restaurant. Joanna takes a small bite and freezes in shock for a moment. Aaron laughs to himself and apologizes for doing it, but says he can't walk around with an Inquisitor while there's a demon inside his body. With a fish in her mouth, Joanna asks if the guard isn't going to eat too. Intimidated, the guy starts eating that nasty slop. Even though they're basically forcing it down, the two of them eat the rotten food. After they finish, Aaron thinks this woman is tough as nails for managing to handle that. But then Briggs' mom shows up with another fish bun, and Joanna bolts out of there. The waitress asks why, and Aaron just makes up some lame excuse. While he's celebrating his victory, the girl brings him another fish bun for free. She says she got all emotional seeing the guard eat the whole other bun, so she brought more. Staring at the food, Aaron says he'd rather have taken a hit to the head from Joanna. Kale shows up and asks why Aaron's armor keeps looking fancier and fancier. The MC explains that some shops gave him discounts when they saw his honorary monk scarf. Then he turns down yet another fish bun. Briggs' mom offers him. Furman explains that some soldiers from Finner are going to be working with them, and if there's any fighting, it could lead to punishment. Aaron says he's a peaceful guy so there won't be any fights, right as the Finner family's guard shows up. Furious, the blonde guy starts cussing Aaron out over the earlier humiliation, and the guard says if only one side hit then it doesn't count as a fight. Annoyed, the guard keeps insulting Aaron. Kale tells his captain to calm down and not cause a scene, because an honorary monk can't be doing stuff like that. But pushing his luck, the Finner soldier asks if Aaron's scared, poking his head and telling him to know his place. The honorary monk snaps and lands a solid punch on the loudmouth. Then he says it still wasn't a fight, since only one person attacked. Seeing that, Kale starts arguing with his captain. A while later, the soldier wakes up, realizing he got knocked out. He says Aaron's way too strong for a regular guard captain, and starts making excuses for why he got beat up. While the MC is going around slapping the merchants, Kale introduces himself to Gelheim, and the guard does the same, apologizing for earlier. Then he asks why Aaron is hitting the merchants. Kale explains that according to the captain, it's to identify demons, but it looks more like he's just blowing off stress. But then, after getting slapped, one of the merchants reveals he's a demon, and asks how a human dares do that. Kale and Gelheim are shocked to see Aaron's method actually work. Even the MC didn't expect it to work. Luckily, that demon is just a lackey, but another one of those monsters showing up only a week after the attack causes a huge commotion. And that day, Aaron sees the strongest people in Kasser all gathered in one place: William the Knight and Joanna. Even after the demon gets beaten up by the MC, Joanna doesn't spare him, sending him off to meet the devil personally. At the Rabbit Tavern, Dylan welcomes his big bro, leaving Aaron confused, seeing the weasel there. Hannah shows up giving the redhead orders and explains that since the weasel came to apologize, he asked for his help to forgive him. After all, the inn is packed with customers because of the cold beer. After taking a sip of that wicked stuff, the MC thinks, well yeah, cold beer is awesome, but Kana is really good at magic, and using her like a fridge is kind of a waste. And even though magic books are expensive, it's time to start upgrading the girl. Somewhere else, we see a man and a boy riding in a wagon, hauling a bunch of assholes. One of the idiots complains the wagon is shaking, and tells the kid not to do anything stupid before they get into the fortress. Then he complains about their boss sending them out to the middle of nowhere to meet someone. His bald friend tells everyone to shut up and watch their faces, especially Jacob. The idiots keep laughing and talking crap. The little boy tells Lebby they only let these guys come because of threats, but if they get caught in the inspection they're screwed too. Lebby tells Furries to relax and says the Kasser fortress only does half-ass inspections, so they'll just pay a few coins and once they're inside they'll be safe. Pool and Dylan, along with a few other guards, are watching the front gate. The blonde guy recognizes Lebby and starts talking to him. Lebby thinks it's weird there are so many guards, but he's relieved not to see Aaron. He sucks up to Pool and hands him a few silver coins, and the blonde thanks him. Dylan tells his brother Pool to wait, because there are 3 more guards with them, so they should get more money. Pool says he's fine with that amount, but since he's scared, Lebby offers more coins, thinking he has no idea what those guys behind them will do if he fails to get through. Somewhere else, Kale tells Aaron that after the captain managed to identify a demon, the inspection method changed. By the commander's orders, everyone in the vehicle now has to get out and go through an individual search, and if anyone looks suspicious, they're supposed to get taken down with a club. So Dylan does exactly that to the bald asshole. Jacob rushes at him, while Aaron asks what kind of stupid method that is, since he himself wasn't doing anything, just smacking merchants with his hand. When Dylan sees one of the assholes coming toward him, he yells a warning to everyone. Those guys were demons. Right then, Jacob and the other thugs get finished off by the other guards. One of them, before dying, realizes Jake the bald guy had only passed out, so the mission to capture that mage would fall on him. Back with Aaron, the guy says goodbye to Kale, saying he's going to upgrade the fridge. Kane watches Aaron drinking a beer, and with a grin the guard calls her over. He asks what spells the girl can do right now, and she says she can move dice, cool things down, and she also knows clairvoyance. Aaron asks how she learned magic, and Kenna says it was with a guy who was an expert in romance. That's what he called himself. The MC gets confused, wondering if Kenna can learn magic just by reading books. Afraid of being dumped, Kenna says that besides learning fast, she can also wash the dishes. In a flashback, Aaron asks a blonde woman how he can learn magic, but she says someone brainless like Aaron would never learn. Back in the present, Kenna begs not to be abandoned, and the MC tells her to stop talking nonsense. He wouldn't do that. He asks if the little girl really wants to learn more, and she immediately agrees, asking for orders. Aaron realizes this girl has been heavily influenced by Dylan. Then Kenna says she has something to tell him, but at that moment Dylan crashes into the door, barging in and calling for his brother. He then says all the captured criminals escaped. One of the captured guys bit through and broke the wooden handcuffs and managed to flee, taking out several soldiers in the process. And on top of that, he was the one who knocked this criminal out. And the situation was really bad. The guard captain ordered everyone to gather at headquarters. Before leaving, Aaron tells Henna to lock the doors because it's dangerous, and tells Kenna to keep watch with her clairvoyance. Seeing Dylan just standing there, the MC grabs him by the ear and drags the weasel along. At headquarters, Manuel is chewing everyone out for letting the criminals escape. One soldier says that's why they should use iron handcuffs, but Manuel tells him to shut up because they're expensive. Aaron and another soldier friend talk about the criminals. The white-haired man explains the first escapee was a well-known guy in Karzan. Hearing that, the MC is surprised the weasel managed to knock out someone like that. Furris shows up, calling Aaron scary muscles, and asking if he's the chief of the guard. Our hero squeezes the kid's head and tells him to respect adults. The redhead asks them to release his teacher because he didn't do anything wrong. So the man explains that the one who brought the guy from Karzan was Lebby. While Furris says they were being threatened, Aaron recognizes that name. He apologizes to the kid, but says he can't let a fugitive get away with it. In the alleys we see some fugitives running, and one of them complains about how persistent the guards are. Lebby in the rain wonders why those guys dragged him along. He wasn't even planning to escape. One of the bandits says the guards in Kasserdik found out they can't take a hit to the head without reacting. Suddenly, all the criminals hear a whistle and start running the other way, but they get ambushed and run straight into a huge guy. Even facing a guard, one of the bandits charges to attack, but he gets grabbed by the neck and slammed into the ground. Lebby recognizes the guy as the tyrant Aaron. Then another random tries to smack Aaron in the head with a club, but Aaron dodges and takes the idiot down. Terrified, Lebby backs up, thinking how he had to run into this devilish human right when he's a fugitive. Afraid of dying, he drops to the ground, begging Aaron to stay back, but the MC just lifts him up by the collar, asking why the idiot is screaming, and saying that Lebby's student had been looking for him. The kid shows up there. When the man sees his student, he runs up to him and hugs him. Captain of the guard Aaron was brutal and rude, but he wasn't actually a bad guy. So our MC asks the old man where the first fugitive was, and finds out he was in District 5, right in the area where the Rabbit Tavern was, and Jake was near the place. All of a sudden, the bald guy is forced to defend himself from an attack. Dylan shows up with Pool and Scar, and says that bald guy was the criminal. Scar says he can't just stand there watching a criminal walking around in his area. Since this was the shadow of the Kasserdik fortress, the guy tries to attack Jake with his sickle. The bald guy easily dodges and slices the enemy's shoulder with his sword. That freaks Dylan out, and Pool realizes this guy is strong. Jake says he's looking for a purple-haired girl, then asks if she's there. Even hurt, Scar tries to strike back, but gets cut again. Pool tries to jump in and lands a punch on Jake, but the guy's slick. He spins and calmly puts his sword against the blonde guy's chest. After taking that hit, Pool tells Dylan to run right now. Getting ready to run, the redhead thinks the guy is way too strong and the fight is already lost. Then he's grateful Pool treated him like a brother even though he's a mercenary. Dylan apologizes to his blonde friend, but says he still wants to live, so he won't leave him behind. Instead, Dylan curses Jake out and says he beat him up, and that all of Jake's brothers got skewered by spears, and that the criminal's a weakling. The bandit gets furious and tries to stab Dylan with his sword. The idiot manages to jump forward and dodge, but ends up slamming into the ground. On the ground, Dylan asks where Aaron is, since he always shows up out of nowhere. Even if his life sucked, he still wanted to keep living and find some reason to. So the redhead starts yelling and cussing out his big bro for not being there. Aaron hears him and shows up, smacking Jake on the forehead. Seeing his captain, the mercenary starts crying from emotion, but annoyed, our MC asks what the idiot just called him. Hearing that, Dylan drops to the floor pretending he died, which pisses the captain off even more. Jake gets up saying it looks like Dylan and Aaron really want to die. Our MC asks if he's the criminal who got beat up by that weasel. Then he says there's something on his shoulder. When the bald guy looks, the sneaky MC tries to hit him with his sword. The bandit blocks and curses at the guard. Aaron lands 2 punches on Jake, grabs him by the collar and throws him away. Looking at his enemy after that, our MC asks how someone like that got beat by Dylan. Then he asks why the criminal is crawling around this dump, and Jake says he's looking for someone, a short purple-haired girl. Aaron remembers that when he rescued Kenna, she was with Karzan bandits. But sending someone like Jake over a simple mage was weird. Seeing Aaron's reaction, Jake says he'll make the guard reveal where Kenna is. But then he feels something go from one side of his chest to the other. We see Dylan using his sword to give the criminal a tiny little cut. Before dying, Jake promises he'll finish off the weasel. As the rain falls on the criminal's body, Aaron just wants a beer. On another day, Dylan is already lying and exaggerating the story about his fight. The idiot tells Pool how he finished Jake. Right then, Aaron comes into the room to check on Pool. He brings a basket of food and asks how everyone's doing. When Pool opens the basket, he finds fish bread. One of the soldiers, all wrapped up in bandages, complains but says he can't eat because he's fasting. Hearing that, the blonde guy says there was a bit left for the captain. At the Rabbit Tavern, Furris was praising Kenna, but when she sees Aaron, the girl quickly serves him a cold beer and he thanks her. The captain sits down and asks if Kenna has any dreams for the future, something she wants to do or become. Kenna answers that she just wants to live. Aaron pats her head and says he'll try his best, and she should do the same. She starts thinking about it. Furris tries to start a conversation again, and remembering Dylan's tip, Kenna bonks the boy on the head. A vendor is calling out potion prices, and tells Aaron to get lost if he's not gonna buy anything. The MC holds himself back so he doesn't punch this idiot. A little bald guy asks Kethub why he's charging the normal price for an honorary monk. He points out that the guard got that title straight from Blean and Joanna. Kethub, even though he doesn't want to, drops the price to 50 silver coins. When Aaron sees the price get cut almost in half, his eyes light up. He leaves, thanking Ainz for the help, since thanks to the monk he got a discount. Ainz asks the guard to excuse Kethub's attitude, because they were busy since an important figure was going to visit the church. Then he tells the captain to be careful on his way home. After that visit, Aaron says he realized there were actually decent people in that church, and when he looks to the side, he sees Joanna eating cheese all by herself. Aaron wonders why she's there, but then Joanna suddenly stands up. The Inquisitor offers the captain a piece of cheese, and after he accepts, she walks off with a smile. While eating the cheese, the MC thinks that woman really wasn't normal. Back at headquarters, Manuel is talking about the criminals escaping, and how the Fenner family got pissed. So because of that, next month there wouldn't be any days off. All the soldiers get annoyed and start calling Manuel a demon for being so cruel. The old soldier thinks the punishment is way too harsh. Then he tells Aaron that the oldest son of the Fenner family would be visiting them soon. A knight candidate trained at the Imperial School, but who never actually became a knight. Aaron gets irritated because some important church person was coming, and now the Fenner family's son too, and that was going to cause a lot of commotion. Manuel, trying to save his own skin, says Nova is looking for Aaron. When he gets to her room, she's weirdly nice. She calmly explains how a door works, and even teaches him how to use a doorknob. Finally showing her anger, she asks if Aaron even knows how to use doors, because he goes around destroying everything, and he'd already knocked down a bunch of walls instead of just using doors. Aaron lies, saying that if he'd been a little late, kids would have gotten hurt. Nova sighs and explains that the costs for everything Aaron destroyed were taken out of his rewards, so the guard would only get 1 silver coin. The MC stares at the coin and quickly gives it back to Nova, telling her to go buy something for herself, or she'd die stuck in that room. Nova curses him out and he immediately runs off. After getting chewed out, Aaron and Kale head out to patrol the city. Aaron says he likes searching carriages because it makes him more money, but patrolling is fun too, because the idiots in this era are always causing trouble, like these two guys fighting. The MC tells them to calm down and says whoever wins the fight is the one who's right. While they're beating the crap out of each other, Aaron starts betting with Kale on who'll win. Some kids start running, scared they'll get arrested by Aaron. He says things are pretty peaceful, until he hears someone yelling. A girl is pissed, asking some ugly dudes who took her cutlery. Aaron shows up to help, and she says those 3 freaks stole her family's cutlery. The bald goblin-looking guy denies it. The girl with the rabbit teeth says she didn't do anything either, and the skinny blonde guy says he doesn't even know why he's there. Kale tells his captain not to take on such an annoying, boring job, but it's too late, and Aaron says the culprit is definitely one of the 3 ugly guys. Then he asks the redhead when the crime happened, and she gives some details, and she's sure it was one of them, because they live near her house. So Aaron asks what each of them was doing from last night until morning. The goblin guy says last night he finished organizing his hay and went to sleep without dinner. Aaron thinks that's suspicious, since dinner was one of the few forms of entertainment back then. The crooked tooth girl refuses to talk, saying she doesn't want to share personal stuff. Plus, she has a valuable silver mirror at home, so she doesn't need some lame cutlery. Aaron finds that suspicious too. The pale guy says he was only out of the house because that woman forced him to. The victim accuses the blonde guy, saying she doesn't recognize him from anywhere, so she thinks he's suspicious. With no other choice, Aaron decides to use his last resort. He tells all 3 of them to show him their houses. Meanwhile, the future MC says he never imagined taking on this boring case would lead to that kind of result. When Kale sees the suspects refusing to show their houses, he starts roasting them. He even kicks the ugly guys to make them move faster. Aaron, noticing how suspicious they're acting, gets excited because he finally found something interesting to do. At the buck-toothed lady's place, Aaron sees she wasn't lying. She really did have a silver mirror. Annoyed, she snaps that she doesn't need some cheap cutlery, so there's no way she's the thief. But Aaron still thinks it's weird, because the house is basically empty, and besides the mirror, the only other things in there are men's clothes. Kale starts complaining about the smell in the house, and Aaron realizes the truth. That woman was cheating. He says that's a serious crime. And scared, the buck-toothed lady tries to bribe the captain with a piece of cheese. Aaron likes the food, so he decides to let it slide and ignore the crime. At the pale blonde guy's house, Kale and his captain only find a few books. While looking through them, Aaron finds a bracelet and steals it, hoping the blonde guy won't notice. But then they hear a noise, and Kale asks what that was, so the captain makes up some lame excuse. Then he asks the demon why he randomly burped. When Kale sees the bracelet, he roasts Aaron's taste, and Aaron complains back at his friend. The pale blonde guy says the MC can keep the bracelet, and the greedy captain declares him innocent as a thank you. On the way to the goblin's house, Aaron is actually excited about the patrol. Kale says that since the other 2 weren't guilty, there's a big chance the criminal is the goblin. Aaron tells him not to worry. Yeah, he might be goofy, but he's doing a serious investigation, and he's going to search every part of the goblin's house. But when they get there, Aaron and Kale freak out. They find a majestic horse dressed like a princess. The goblin apologizes to the horse for being late, and asks if it wants hay soup. Annoyed, Aaron kicks the goblin's butt, and sends him flying. As they leave with Kale, Kale comments that the goblin is actually a famous horse breeder. Back in the city, the MC wonders who the real culprit was in the end. Then the lady from earlier shows up saying she found her cutlery in the straw. That result leaves Aaron and Kale totally crushed, and they head back into town. At the Rabbit Tavern, Aaron is complaining about how he wasted time on a false accusation. Kenna brings him a mug of beer, and looks excited about something. Aaron's confused, but when he looks at the cup, he sees the ice cubes are shaped like flowers. Proudly, the little mage says she worked really hard on it, and the guard congratulates her. But he's also thinking, like, what's the point of pretty ice and beer? Seeing how happy she is, Aaron decides not to ruin the moment, while thinking he needs to give her that magic book soon. For some reason, Kenna starts staring at the guard's new bracelet, so the captain asks if she wants it, and embarrassed, she says yes. Aaron gives her the bracelet, and she gets super happy. He thinks the bracelet is really pretty, and that pale guy might actually be a decent dude, so he decides he'll buy him a fish bun. But then we see the blonde guy looking confused. Annoyed, the blonde guy is complaining about coming to this place full of ignorance and barbarians. Just imagining that some poor guy grabbed the collar of the mage from the white magic tower makes him mad. And on top of that, that brute also broke into his house. When Kale and Aaron were investigating his place, the pale guy thinks he cast a spell to turn his magic books into normal books. When he sees Aaron touch his bracelet, he panics inside. Angry, the blonde guy says someone like Aaron shouldn't touch that object, and then he casts a spell. But nothing happens, and the captain can still use the bracelet. Seeing his magic get ignored, the blonde guy wonders how someone with no aura managed to stop his spell. Back to the present, the pale guy wonders who that man really is, but he decides to calm down so he doesn't slip up and reveal his identity. After all, his only mission is to investigate the one who's loved by Mana. At the city gate, Brig asks his captain why Fenner soldiers are keeping their distance from them. Aaron jokes that those guys probably got beat up by someone in a tavern. Then a carriage approaches. Aaron recognizes it as a noble's carriage, and wonders if Fenner's oldest son is inside. As it passes, all the soldiers bow. A young man with long white hair smiles as he goes by Aaron. The captain is annoyed seeing that noble fly past at full speed without even stopping. But then another carriage comes up, which confuses him. The carriage stops, and Aaron asks where they came from. A little boy named Shone says he came from Karzan, and introduces himself as a city administrator. After talking for a while longer, Shone finally gets permission to go in and thanks them for it. Brig complains that way too many wagons are showing up today, and Aaron tells the idiot to shut up or he'll just attract even more. Right then, another carriage arrives. A white-haired religious guy steps out, and he clearly knows Aaron. The temporary monk realizes the guy is the church's abbot and greets him. Seeing that, the religious man corrects the way Aaron greeted him. Then he says the captain really is a man of faith, and that's why he wants to talk to him later. Brig, seeing all these important people coming in, comments that things are about to get hectic, and Aaron agrees. A while later, Nova shows up with Shone and calls for the MC. When he sees her outside his office, the guy jokes around and asks why she's there. Nova tells him to hand it over, so Aaron throws a sack on the ground. Turns out it's the head of the Karzan criminals inside, and that freaks Shone out. The kid starts throwing up, and at the same time tries to talk about Aaron's reward. After a bit, he asks Aaron to just leave the sack there and apologizes for not being able to help, because he has a weak stomach. Then he says it's a relief. Jake got caught, because the guy was really well known, and the organization he's involved with is a huge problem in Karzan. Aaron remembers Jake was after Kana, so he wonders if they'll send someone else there too. Once Shoney finishes up his work, he asks what the best restaurant in town is. The captain decides not to recommend the fish bread, so he says it's Hessen Bakery in District 3. So the two of them go there together, and in his head, Aaron's clearly trying to learn more about the organization going after Kana. The bald owner of the bakery serves them the shop's main dish, a cheesecake. Then he starts hyping up his own food like crazy. While eating, Shoney says Kasserdick wasn't as bad as he'd heard. He explains that because of the Lone Wolf, Karzan was in chaos, and people were more aggressive. Lone Wolf was one of Karzan's 3 organizations. The other 2 were Frozen Dagger and Fluffy Rabbit. Jake was basically a hired do-anything guy for the Lone Wolf Guild, so Aaron asks who the leader is. Shoney says it's a guy named Philip, the bastard son of some noble family, who got banished after failing to poison his older brother. The creepiest thing about him was how possessive he was. One day, members of the Dagger Guild went to one of Philip's taverns and took a decorative sword from there. Even though it was just some simple thing, Philip took it as an insult and got the dagger back in a total bloodbath. Aaron realizes the guy really is like a wolf. Once he bites, he doesn't let go. Philip probably saw Kenna as his property, but he probably hadn't realized he could die if he bit the wrong thing, so Aaron planned to visit him someday. And a 3-day business trip to Karzan should do the trick. Later, Shaun is packing his stuff to go back to Karzan, and Nova is going too. Aaron asks to come with her, which makes her suspicious, but he just says he has things to take care of in the city. Nova decides to let him come as long as he has Manuel's permission, and Aaron says he does. One of the guards asks if Nova is really taking the captain of the guard with her, and she says either way the guards were going with her. And instead of messing up the whole guard formation, it's easier to just bring Aaron. The guard still thinks it's weird that Aaron suddenly volunteered. Nova just says that's exactly why everyone calls Aaron a con man. She remembers when she was about to give Aaron a high position in the guard, but he refused, saying that for a scumbag like him, captain of the guard was enough. Nova realized that if she tried to put a leash on him, she'd lose him, so she didn't need to understand Aaron's motivations. She just needed him to stay in the Kasserdog fortress for a long time. Back to the present, the wagon heads toward Karzan, and during the trip the MC is already starting to get on Nova's nerves. Xiaobei offers Nova a piece of cheesecake, but she angrily refuses. Confused, the boy says he called her by her nickname, like Aaron told him to, but Nova still seemed irritated, so the slick little MC tells Xiaobei to call her Orange. After the kid does it, Nova gets even more annoyed and ignores him. A while later, the 3 of them arrive in the beautiful city of Karzan. Nova says she doesn't need company while she's working, so Aaron can go do his own thing. but the woman immediately tells the idiot not to go starting trouble around there, because that place wasn't Kasserdock. Aaron just ignores her, says goodbye, and leaves with Shaun. The orange-haired girl notices Aaron didn't actually say anything about causing problems, so she hopes she just misheard. Our MC, already far from there, asks Shaun to guide him through the city. That gets the administrator excited, asking if he should show him the local restaurants. But the captain says no, and that he'll check out restaurants next time, because tonight he's going to finish off the leader of the Lone Wolf Guild. Hearing that leaves Shaun confused and shocked for a moment. Thinking it's a joke, the kid says he doesn't care. Getting rid of someone like that would be great for the city. Aaron doesn't realize there's a misunderstanding and is just happy Shaun agrees with him. Shaun keeps thinking it's a joke, so he decides to see how far Aaron will take it. He leads the guard to the Cute Bunny Guild's base, and there are a bunch of buff guys there with angry faces. He figures that guild is all about brute force, and that if Aaron admitted it was a joke, he'd drag him away from there. But then the kid catches a strong smell of sweat, and ends up leaving, grumbling. The muscleheads hear that, feel insulted, and get pissed. Now, at the Drunken Widow's Tavern, run by the Icy Dagger Guild, when they see a city administrator, all the women get hyped and start jumping all over him. At night, while Shaun is drunk, Aaron says he's finished his preparations, and they're going to the Lucky Gambler Casino. Confused, the boy wonders how far this guy is going to take this joke. Then he says it's a casino run by the Lone Wolf Guild. Aaron replies that he doesn't care, he needs to destroy the wolf's den to lure out the pack leader. Shaun remembers the captain talking about taking out the Lone Wolf Guild leader, and that's when it hits him. It's not a joke. Aaron really plans to kill Philip, the demon of Karzan. That scares him, and Captain Aaron tells him to hurry up and show the way. He says it's already late. If they want to finish this by tomorrow afternoon, they need to move, so the MC helps Shaun walk. Somewhere else, a building catches fire. Some people are furious because someone cheated the Lone Wolf Casino, but another guy tells everyone to just put the fire out already. Then we see Gurn, the Lone Wolf's gatekeeper. He comments that nights are usually noisy, but tonight is even worse. Still, even with a war going on, his only job is to stay there. After all, he's the guard at the Lone Wolf Guild's gate. A hooded Aaron appears next to Gurn, and asks if he's okay. He also asks why Gurn hasn't moved an inch, even with the city in chaos. Gurn just says guarding that place is his duty. The captain mocks him, saying other organizations don't even have gatekeepers, so the Lone Wolf boss must need one because he's a coward. The doorman warns Aaron to watch his mouth, because Philip is extremely cruel. He has a magic weapon that can make his opponents burn in seconds. But the scariest part is the knight assigned to protect Philip, and even if he's a drunk with an injured right arm, a knight is still a knight. On top of that, Philip has 40+ people blindly following him, and there's nobody who can even lay a finger on him. Aaron thanks the doorman for the info. He says he could have just ignored Gurn, but Gurn reminded him of his old self, so it was good talking to him. Because of that, he'll let Philip know about Gurn's help. Before walking past him, Aaron says there's no such thing as an immortal human in this world, no matter their status. So if Philip dies, Gurn should quit this job and go find something else, because everyone's good at something. Gurn is stunned, and only realizes later that Aaron already walked past him. He starts thinking about what he might actually want to do with his life. The MC enters the tavern and sees a bunch of people drinking and having fun. He sizes things up and realizes there are about 35 members in there who can fight. Also, he paid a few gold coins to members of the other two guilds to cause chaos outside. They agreed easily and seemed really angry, so most of the Lone Wolf members were outside dealing with the mess. Schaukers was safe, so there was only one thing left. Then the captain runs into a drunk head-on. The messy-haired guy asks who the outsider is. Aaron realizes that's the knight, and he's not gonna get past him that easily. The knight stands up, completely wasted. Aaron thinks that unlike the cripple, this guy has a well-built body, but he still wasn't sure he'd win because of those damn knight's aura. So the drunk guy drops his beer and immediately rushes in to attack Aaron, but Aaron dodges. The MC realizes that in the blink of an eye, this idiot completely changed his stance and now had insane destructive power. And on top of that, a sword without aura would shatter if it clashed with one that had aura. That's why knights try to break the opponent's weapon first. The knight does exactly that, but the captain manages to move first and slip away from the strike. Then he appears right behind his enemy, freaking him out. He uses brute strength to knock aside the enemy's attack and land a hit to his back. Their chances of winning were pretty even, but what would make Aaron win was his lifestyle, because only one of them actually trained. And just like that, the drunk knight's head drops to the ground, rolling like a ball. Our MC tosses away his now broken sword and steals the sword from the poor dead drunk knight. Nearby, Nova was asleep until she woke up to a bunch of noise. Annoyed, she goes to the window to complain, but ends up seeing the city on fire. Down below, total chaos was breaking out, with fights happening everywhere. Confused, Nova immediately asks what the hell is going on and starts thinking about Aaron. Then she stops herself, saying that even if Aaron is a troublemaker, he wouldn't do something like this. Back to the MC. He comes across a golden door and kicks it open. Inside, the guard sees this fancy place full of gold and wonders if Philip is obsessed with nobility or something. 4 idiots who call themselves the Celestial Kings show up and ask why Aaron is there. Seeing them threaten him, the captain starts laughing and calls them a bunch of fat guys. Philip, sitting on a throne, asks how the outsider managed to get there and get past the Knight Bahaton. Aaron recognizes the guild boss and just says he didn't see any knight. But one of the little pigs recognizes Bahaton's sword with Aaron, so Philip just sighs and asks what he wants. Our hero says he's there to finish off a cowardly wolf. For some reason, Philip bursts out laughing. He stands up and asks if Aaron really has the guts to kill him. After all, he's allied with Count Bahat, the level 1 administrator of Karzan, and even Mayor Guram. Just a little longer, and he'd have allies in the imperial family too. The idiot says he'll forgive Aaron's insolence if the boy kisses his feet. Even after hearing all that, Aaron just uses his new sword to pat Philip on the head, shocking everyone. Then he says he didn't expect this idiot to step into his range on purpose. And besides, that kind of threat doesn't work. Aaron's already being hunted by someone way more dangerous. Philip's body starts catching fire, and Aaron realizes this is the magic weapon Guram talked about. Then he tells the 4 Celestial Kings to pay attention, because he's about to hold interviews for the position of Lone Wolf Guild leader, and they're all free to prove they deserve it. The skinniest of the 4 is impressed that Aaron didn't care about the threats and pulled that off so easily. Aaron also says he'll finish off anyone who doesn't pass the test. At that moment, the 3 fat guys start yelling about their skills, but while the 3 of them argue, the skinny one comes up from behind and attacks one of them. Then he introduces himself as Dante, says he handled the guild's main tasks, and asks Aaron to let him be the leader. In a meeting, one of the background guys says that yesterday there was a fight between the city's 3 guilds, but apparently they called a truce. Sean shows up with a box, apologizing for being late. One of the women asks who the young guy is, and he introduces himself as the 3rd administrator. That same person asks why Sean brought the box. So the kid explains he got it on the way there and brought it because he was in a hurry. The woman accepts the apology and tells him to sit. Then she says they haven't been able to contact the Lone Wolf Guild, so they need to find Philip. A spoiled brat sitting next to Sean starts picking on him for being a commoner, for being late, and for bringing a gift. He even says the kid probably got some crappy present, would never get promoted, and should just look for another job. After spending so much time around Aaron, Sean decides to act for once, telling the idiot to shut up and not talk about his friend's gift. He even grabs the spoiled guy by the collar, about to beat him up, but at that moment the box falls to the floor. Everyone freezes in shock. Sean remembers when he was drinking with Aaron and said he'd never get a promotion because he was just a nobody, and that the only way he'd ever get promoted was if he brought Philip's head. So then we see that's exactly what was inside the box. When they see it, all the nobles in the assembly start screaming. In a flashback, Dante is getting the box ready with the heads and asks what the guild should do next. Aaron just tells him to figure it out himself, because if nobody else was after Kenna, then Dante's job was already done. His only request was for Dante to protect Shaun and let the gatekeeper Gurn do whatever he wanted. So the new leader should just do his best and not annoy him. Dante decides he'll send reports to Aaron and also send him some gold coins. Somewhere else we see a bald guy casting a spell in front of Aaron, using Philip's magic artifact. The demon inside the MC gets confused, but Aaron just tells him to shut up. A dark spell appears on the guard's head. After it gets cleaned off with a cleansing spell, Aaron is super happy. He even offers the bald guy some gold coins to go to Kasserdik and teach a mage a few spells. The guy agrees and even suggests moving to the city, but then tells Aaron to wait. He uses his magic to clean Aaron's shoe and passes out in the process. Aaron's pleased with the service, leaves a gold coin in the guy's mouth, and tells him to look for him in Kasserdik. Nova is walking through the city, complaining about the mess everywhere. Then she arrives and goes into the place where Aaron is waiting for her. She finds the captain asleep, with his skin completely clean. After another day, the 2 of them are in the carriage, heading back to Kasserdik. The girl asks if Aaron caused any trouble, but he just says he didn't break any walls. Afraid of becoming an accomplice, Nova just tells him to shut up. Then she asks why he brought all that armor. Our MC says the armor is going to be like souvenirs from Karzan. Then he tosses her a breastplate as a gift. But they start arguing because Nova thinks the breastplate is too small, and Aaron says it's more than enough for her orbs. Suddenly they hear a scream, and arrows pierce the carriage. When he sees the stone arrow, the MC understands what's going on. He steps out of the carriage, saying the only ones who use arrows that primitive are goblins. Then he runs into an army of them. Seeing about 20 enemies, our hero is confused because that's a lot of monsters, and they must have a village nearby. Then he tells Nova to get back inside, since he'll be back after he has a little fun with the monsters. One of the creatures charges the captain, but gets taken out fast with a sword. With his other hand, the MC grabs one monster by the neck and slams it into the ground. Seeing that, 2 more creatures jump at the enemy. While taking down a bunch of them, Aaron says this is all weird, because goblins would normally run away after seeing their friends die. After the fight ends, Nova asks if Aaron's done, and he says yes. Then he thinks that for those idiots to keep charging until the end, someone must have been controlling them. Looking at his sword, The MC notices traces of dark magic coming from the goblins, and Nova asks if it's possible to control living goblins. The MC says yes, but explains that to control living things, the person has to be really strong, so why would someone like that be in some remote place like this? Plus, a dark mage attacked Kesserdick recently. Nova realizes Vivian might be getting attacked again. Thinking about that just makes Aaron annoyed with his job. At the gate of Kesserdick, two soldiers are talking. Then the protagonist shows up riding a horse with Nova. One soldier's confused and asks why Aaron didn't come in a wagon. The MC says there were a lot of monsters on the road, so he had to head out and deal with them. Then he tosses a goblin's junk, leaving the soldiers totally confused. He explains that this little thing helps a lot with stamina for those activities, but it's really hard to find for sale. Hearing that, the random long-haired guy tries to buy it. But Nova, annoyed, tells Aaron to deal with that later because she wants to take a bath. Aaron apologizes that he has to go and throws the goblin thing to the soldiers. It smacks the bearded soldier in the face, and the other guy starts laughing. Later, we see all of Unit 4 wearing the armor Aaron brought. The Weasel is super happy with the gift, then says it's a crazy coincidence that chaos starts in Karzan right when Aaron shows up, and he agrees. The older members are sure the captain had something to do with it. When Aaron sees Henna, he asks how business is, but she complains they're out of ingredients because the wagons haven't been arriving. On top of that, the Lord took all the remaining ingredients, so the tavern has nothing, and the king's a jerk. Dylan and the MC try to calm her down, but she stays pissed. Kale compliments the headscarf Henna's wearing to cool things off, and instantly she gets all flustered. The MC asks if anything happened while he was gone. Vermin says nothing happened, but the church abbot came by looking for Aaron. Also, apparently a new faction is popping up in Sector 6. Aaron complains at Vermin for not saying that sooner. He thinks that District 6 is Scar, and his dad Jackson's territory, so it's not normal for people to be gathering there. Then he leaves and calls Vermin to go check out District 6. Walking around, Aaron complains about the place smelling like crap. Vermin points in a direction and says it's over there. Then they see three punks together. Aaron tells the three to come over, but this blonde guy steps forward. The criminal greets him and starts sucking up to the guard. The MC stares at him for a bit and says he's never seen him around before, then asks his name. Turns out it's George. So when they ask why George came to Kesserdick with his ugly friends, the suspect says it was his mom's hometown, and he came there with his buddies to look for work because he'd heard it was a good place. Aaron decides to switch tactics when he sees the guy sticking to his story instead of confessing. He immediately orders everyone to take their clothes off. After all, there was no better way to find out if those little thugs were involved with the devil. But the captain notices that even though they didn't have that mark, they had a ton of tattoos, so they were probably mixed up in something. George just chuckles and hands a silver coin to the guard. Then he leaves with his group after getting permission. Aaron says he's sure those guys used to be in a gang, but there was no way to arrest them without a reason. So he decides to go to the church to deal with something else. There, Blean is furious, begging Aaron to kill Brighton. The MC thinks, yeah, this guy's the real criminal, because a priest shouldn't be saying that. Then he asks who the guy even is. Blean explains that Brighton is the church's new abbot, some demonic idiot, and he's sick of all the quotes and prayers first thing in the morning. So Aaron asks if a priest isn't supposed to do that every day. Blean ignores that, just hands Aaron a handful of coins, and says even beating Brighton up would make him happy. Seeing a priest ask for an abbot to be murdered, Aaron realizes the guy's lost it. There's no way an abbot could be that bad. But not long after, we see Brighton complaining that Aaron doesn't know the church prayer, and trying to teach him. The guy keeps bombarding the temporary monk with criticism and church lessons. 3 hours later, Brighton is still going on about how important it is for a monk to know this stuff, and that Aaron should learn it. Our MC, exhausted from listening, is basically falling apart. Then he thinks, okay, this guy clearly loves criticizing people, so he'll wait for him to contradict himself and then use that as an excuse to hit him. But that doesn't happen so easily, and we see Brighton blessing a bunch of kids. Watching all that, Aaron says it's the first time he's seen someone so impressive in this medieval world. Brighton says he originally thought Aaron didn't deserve to be a temporary monk, but after seeing him stick it out until the end of the day, he changed his mind. Aaron's faith is actually pretty strong, but the guy needs to study the scriptures more. After all that, Aaron realizes he failed his mission to find an excuse to punch the religious guy, so he won't accept the job, even though he already got paid for it. The next morning, Brighton is waking Aaron up early for prayer. The MC immediately shuts his door, shocked that the guy came looking for him at the tavern. Brighton says he heard Aaron trains every morning, so he'll help him pray without interrupting his training, making the MC furious. Aaron lands a bunch of slashes on an orc goblin. Another big green one charges in to avenge his friend, but one of them gets quickly cut in half by our MC, so the guy finishes counting his kills at 7. Kale mourns the death of the farmer Pra, who got taken out by those creatures. Dylan suggests increasing patrols around the fortress, and Poole says there's been a rise in the number of monsters. Kale gets pissed at how long the nobles are taking to act, and Briggs says Fenner's oldest son is getting ready to do a sweep of the area around them. Vermin tells the captain they finished the job and cleared all the bodies. Aaron, looking over the corpses, notices that purple slime on them again. Then he leaves with his group and says goodbye to Pra. Up in a tree near the church, Joanna is eating, and Aaron spots her. He decides to ignore her while thinking he's found signs of dark mages on the orcs, and he can't just let that go, so he needs to talk to someone. But the guard shows up at the worst time because Brighton is scolding one of the monks. Seeing the abbot yelling at the church's potion seller makes Aaron happy. Furious, the religious guy tells the monk to go hunt down something else to do, because he's handling the sales himself now. Then he walks up to the MC and asks if the guard has read the Holy Scriptures. Aaron ignores the lecture and says he came because something urgent is going on. Some farmers were attacked by monsters, and there were signs of dark mages on them. Brighton immediately understands that's why there's been more monsters around. Then he asks if anything happened to the farmers, and hears that 4 people were victims of the orcs. The guy flies into a rage and tells Aaron to handle things there, while he goes off to take care of something. But before leaving, he asks if the MC has seen Joanna, and Aaron realizes the Inquisitor had been hiding from him. Brighton went to Fulpu, the lord who hadn't done anything about the monsters, and had even told the farmers not to leave their land. The abbot's word carried a lot of weight. He personally led a huge funeral for the poor farmers. Aaron asks the nobles when the monster clearing would happen, and finds out that because of Brighton it would be tomorrow, and only the Finfer family and the inner fortress guards would take part. Aaron thinks it's obvious Miss Vivian wouldn't be brought along to a fight against monsters, but that's worrying if the monsters are actually being used as bait by evil mages to draw the troops away. Either way, the abbot and Nova will deal with it. Even if there isn't a dark mage involved, the city guards are going out and they can't leave Vivian unprotected. The next day, a soldier blows a trumpet. An army of random warriors rides out on horseback to clear out the monsters. Aaron thinks, inside the fortress, Ben was protecting Vivian, and outside, Joanna was there. Then he remembers when Brighton read the Bible to him and Joanna. That night, in the middle of the forest, a red-headed woman asks how things are going. A hooded woman tells her Crimson Darkness and Harton are already at the fortress, and the castle troops are busy dealing with the monsters. Hearing that makes the redhead happy. The hooded one asks if it's really okay to cause all this trouble, since even though it's on the border, Kasserdick is still part of the Empire. Uplift tells her servant not to worry because once the master consumes the heart of the one loved by Mana, they won't need to hide anymore, and she won't mess up this plan like that idiot Dornoa did. Another follower says it's time to open the fortress gates. The redhead snaps her fingers and this gross purple creature appears, called the Tangle. She explains that even on the border, a fortress is still dangerous, and you can't open the gates with weak power. Since the infiltrator is dealing with Ben, she tells them to call the Night Hunter. One of the idiots says they can't because he's running late, making her furious. Out of patience, Oplith decides to go in first without help, and tells everyone to get ready. At Oplith's command, the pile of purple slime moves toward the gate. Suddenly it gets hit by a kick and goes flying. Oplith and the other Satanists just stand there, confused. The MC says he's been waiting a long time for these demonic idiots. They're celebrating because the job's been easy, and Aaron hasn't been causing trouble.